Card, please.
What motivates you? Are you driven by success in your tasks, or by how you achieve that success? What thrills you most? The rewards at the end or the chase itself? We all fit into one camp, some of us into both. The same goes for sports people. We can class them as either ego-orientated or task-orientated. An ego-orientated tennis player would typically be motivated by rewards and would push themselves harder for a significant title or prize money. A task-orientated player is driven by the pursuit of improvement, and while they obviously play to win, they enjoy the process as much as the winning. For these players, climbing a few spots up the rankings can be just as rewarding as lifting a trophy. One such task-orientated player is Kevin Anderson. In 2017, he became the first South African in a generation to reach a Grand Slam final at the US Open, and the following year, he emulated compatriot Kevin Curran by making the Wimbledon final. But Anderson was a late bloomer. He didn't break into the world's top 10 until he was 29. He was 31 in that Flushing Meadows showpiece, 32 when he slugged it out in Wimbledon's longest ever semi-final. He worked a lifetime to become an overnight success. Or as his performance coach Alistair McCaw put it, Kevin is respectfully not the most talented player I've ever worked with, but I'll tell you one thing, he's the hardest working and the most invested in the process. That's what sets him apart and why he's number 5 in the world. Kevin deserves everything he gets in terms of his success. If he didn't have those qualities of the extra work he puts in, he would not, in my opinion, be in the top 50. That Anderson came from a relative tennis backwater may have been the making of him. With no world-class opponents to measure up against, he instead opted to compete with himself and his increasingly high standards. It wasn't enough for him to be the best young player in the country. He saw the bigger picture, the wider world out there for him. And to get there, he knew he needed to consistently improve. He became a student of the game, ensuring he was always learning and improving despite the occasional injury or poor result. Every improvement in his game was to him as rewarding as a win. Keeping his sights on short-term goals meant he didn't get ahead of himself, on the practice court or in tournaments. When playing, he also focused on the present, rather than a match's potential outcome. This ensured he held his nerve during crucial stages when others might lose focus and choke under pressure. And he developed an unshakable work ethic, so he could make the most of every drop of his talent. Anderson's commitment to task goal orientation is what has seen him enjoy an Indian summer in terms of his career. Always improving, always learning. His continuous rise in the year-end rankings from 161 at the end of 2009 to 61 at the end of 2010, 32 at the end of 2011, 20 at the end of 2013, 12 at the end of 2015, and then 6 by the end of 2018 is the reward element. The process-based approach, living in the moment, can also explain his determination to overcome injuries well into his 30s. Watching Anderson in the 2017 US Open final against Rafael Nadal was a case study in Anderson's self-motivation. When he lost a point, which he did regularly in that match, he remained calm and stoic. And when he won one, out came the fist pumps and yells of encouragement. Even when he was match point down in a pretty one-sided final, Kevin saved one, and he pumped his fist and looked at his box and said, "Come on," McCaw recalled. I remember some spectators sitting near us kind of jeered and laughed, as if to say, "Are you serious? He's getting absolutely beaten up here, and he's now pumping his fist match point down." There you have the secret to Kevin's success. No matter what the score is, no matter who he's playing, he always believes. Scoreboard pressure just doesn't exist in a world where you live only in the moment. The last point is gone, the next point is all that matters. Win it, move on. Anderson has used his psychological coaching to not only manage any lingering anxiety, but use it to his advantage. According to psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, optimal creative and psychological performance is achieved by being completely concentrated on the task in the moment, and by perceiving a balance between one's abilities and the challenge of the task. In other words, Anderson is unlikely to be intimidated by challenges because he realistically views his skills as being in balance with those challenges. His unshakable self-trust helps him use anxiety as a motivator rather than a hindrance. He is definitely a subscriber to Billie Jean King's famous phrase, "Pressure is a privilege." And it's easier to navigate the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune when you simply trust in the process.